Well, welcome to another episode of The Sprout, where we are showing the community all the ways that Richland is bringing redemption and innovation through education. This week, I am sitting down with Julie Melton from Richland Community College to discuss the foundation and all the ways that they are influencing our community as well. So Julie, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the show and to learn about the foundation. And I would love for you to introduce yourself and maybe your role at Richland.
Sure. So I am Vice President of Institutional Advancement. That basically, institutional advancement is anything in the college that moves the mission forward or advances the mission forward.
Okay.
So that's marketing, grants, campus events, as well as the foundation. So then on the flip side, I am executive director of the foundation.
Wonderful. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you kind of move everything along.
Yeah.
I like to think so.
I like to think so. Yeah, I've been with Richland a long time, just over 9 years now. And really, we've grown so much in a short-ish amount of time. But really,
Right.
when you think about the foundation, we've existed for almost 45 years.
Okay.
And we have seen a lot of growth. So I like to think that we have really helped support our students, support our faculty, our staff, and just the college and the community as a whole.
Okay, can you, that's a great segue. I'd love for you to maybe explain what is the foundation?
We basically exist to support the college.
Okay.
But primarily what I like to say is one of the things that we focus on is providing equitable access to a quality education.
Okay.
So our bread and butter is scholarships. A lot of what we do is awarding scholarships. The majority of our students don't pay to attend Richland because we do have so many scholarships and grant opportunities. That's why the grants and the foundation go so well hand in hand together. So about 6 or 7 years ago, we decided that we really needed to focus on removing student barriers, so beyond scholarships. So we started in 2018 with opening our pantry on campus, and then we really expanded that. COVID, we're awarding more and more emergency relief grants, and that's continued. We have a partnership with Decatur Transit Authority where any student with a student ID can ride the bus anywhere at no cost. We provide laptops, just really anything that would make a student choose between their education and maybe some life experience that is happening. We don't want them to have to make that choice. We want to remove that barrier so that they can continue and complete.
I like thinking about all the little things, because for me, whenever I hear barrier, sometimes you do mostly think of the bigger blocks.
Right.
But I love that it sounds like you're trying to think through even the smaller blocks as well,
Right.
besides maybe the big tuition ticket, but even having the right resources, the right transportation, making sure that they have the food and the things. And is all of that funded and set up through the foundation? How does that work?
It is. I mean, so we have funds within the foundation that are restricted for various purposes, but we also have unrestricted funds that the board will designate for the greatest priorities of the college. So we have individuals across this entire community that have set up scholarships for areas that they're passionate about. And we have a very robust scholarship administration process to award all of those. But then we write grants, private foundation grants, or we ask for specific dollars based on the needs of our students or the needs across campus. So a lot of it is funneled, but again, we have received so much grant funding, and that has grown exponentially as well, that we're able to marry those funds together to provide the greatest resources. So the college really hasn't had to use their funding sources to be able to provide those resources. We're really able to utilize private and government support to help remove those barriers.
Gotcha. Within some of those needs, I'm curious, is it needs that are brought to you? Is it more of becoming aware of some of the gaps and how to help? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so a little bit about my history is I worked at the Eastern Illinois Food Bank. So I worked there, and one of the things that I worked on when I was there was pantries. and food mobiles. So we would have pantries at like the U of I. They have a pantry on campus. They actually have a couple of pantries on campus. And then schools, high schools would have pantries. So when I came to Richland, one of the things that I felt like was a gap for our students, especially with the individuals that we're serving, was a food pantry. So that was one of the areas that I was very passionate about. I had made contact with Reverend Brohard at Good Samaritan Inn, if you know who that is. And we got to talking, I think it was probably just a couple of months after I started, and I said, I want to do this. And he's like, let's make that happen.
Okay.
And since then, we've transitioned the pantry to be supported by Northeast Community Fund. Okay. But it's a great resource for our students. And I mean, we continue to work to figure out we're continuing to work to figure out the best way to make sure the students are aware of that, because we have new students coming in every year. Right. So make sure they're aware of that resource. But transportation was another one that we became aware of. We were doing bus tokens. Okay. And certain things become harder to administer. So when you're giving out bus tokens continuously, you're thinking there's got to be a better way. So we talked to Lacey at Decatur Transit Authority and said, what could we do this? Could we essentially show a student ID and you just charge us? So that's what they do. They show it. We get a bill every quarter, and we're just happy that so many students are utilizing the service. So essentially they can go and they can go to the grocery store, they can go to work, they can go anywhere that they need to go at no cost to them. So it's not just coming to Richland.
Just to Richland.
Nope. Okay. It's really anywhere, because again, we don't want them to have that expense, because it may not just be coming to Richland that they have a challenge with. They may have a challenge getting to their job or getting to anything. So it's really anywhere. So basically all of these things have kind of slowly evolved. There's things that we still haven't figured out. Childcare is one of them. That's a huge issue in this community, is addressing childcare. So trying to figure out how we can support that is another one. We know that COVID really brought along a few areas that we knew we needed to focus on. So emergency relief grants, we had a little bit of an emergency relief grant kind of process, but as soon as COVID hit, people were being laid off. Everything was changing, and we wanted to help support our students. And so we went from awarding maybe like 10,000 emergency relief grants each year. I think 2020, we awarded about 75,000. Oh, wow. And that continued to grow. And now it's kind of gone back the other way. But again, anything can come up. I mean, we've had so many situations. We've had house fires. We've had students' eyeglasses break. We've had all sorts of just small things, medical bills, utility bills come up, and a student needs that resource. And if you have a $500 bill, $600 bill, that might be just enough that you're thinking, I can't go to school anymore. I have to work. Right. I have to pay for this. And if we can just help offset that just a little bit so they can get back on their feet and figure things out, then we want to be able to do that.
That's incredible. Sitting across the way with a variety of people out at Richland, hearing your guys' heart, it's so much more than just education. And I really love seeing the innovative ways that you guys are really trying to come alongside and support and help people do their best, even outside of academics.
Yes.
And in the ripple effect of that, they do better in academics whenever those needs are taken care of, those wraparound services are attended to, whenever those things are, matched, being able to be seen and come alongside. I think that's incredible.
I mean, I think just personally, if I have something going on, I can't focus on all other areas of my job because this is consuming me. So we want to make sure that we can, again, help students as much as possible so that they can be as successful as possible. And we see that as part of our scholarship administration process, we ask students to complete a post-acceptance, which just answers a few questions of what does the scholarship mean to you? How are you impacted? Just just statements that we can share with our donors and the general community. But a lot of what we see is, thank you for removing that barrier, that financial burden. Because of you, I was able to continue on my path. And so we see that so much with students of just that help and support really led them. And I feel like that's where my job is so rewarding. I mean, I've been doing fundraising since I graduated college. So 25 years ago, for 25 years, I've been doing fundraising, which I love. And I've worked in social service and healthcare and four-year university. And I don't think anything to me has been as rewarding as community college, just because you're seeing the impact, you're hearing it, you're talking to those students. Every day I know when I come to work, something that I'm doing is changing somebody's life. And I don't think there's anything more rewarding than that. I just don't. Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm sure that you see that a lot within all of the areas that we're learning that Richland is doing within the community and the programs. You're not just making people come to you, but you're creating ways for them to come to you.
Yes.
Which is really impactful. Now, I'm curious of the people that sit on the foundation. Are they a part of Richland? Is it a board that gets voted in? How does that work?
We do. So I think it's not a voted board.
Okay.
Our board members are selected.
Okay.
So we really look at individuals that are connected to the community, passionate about the work we do, have the time commitment, not that it's a large commitment, but have the time. Because there's nothing worse than being a board member and feeling that you're not contributing. So we look at individuals and we look at who our natural partners are. Okay. So we have representatives from ADM, CAT, Milliken, DMH. So I'm trying to think, DPS. So basically all the acronyms, all of the acronyms. So we have representatives from all of those organizations who have been, who continue to be, and hopefully will be in the future partners of ours, because there are so many pathways coming into Richland from our school systems, as well as coming out of Richland into our employers. So we want to make sure that we have all of those individuals represented so that we can come to them and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Hey, we're thinking about expanding our prep academy, our partnership with Decatur Public Schools. What does that look like? How will that impact you personally? Do you have kids at Mount Zion, Maroa, some of these schools? I want people to feel passionate about the work that we do. I'm a board member, a school board member at Monticello. And I know I'm passionate about that work because my children go to school there.
Right.
And I want our board members to feel the same way, because they're not only professionally impacted, but personally impacted.
Yeah. And that personal connection, I think, is probably going to pull on that passion piece a bit more.
Exactly.
I think we're all a bit more passionate whenever we have skin in the game, so to say.
100%.
Right? A little bit of different connection there.
Yes.
Within, you had talked about the wraparound services and, what the foundation does with helping the barriers of students get to it. And it's just a curious question. Whenever you're partnering with ADM and all of these other employers too, are there things that the foundation do to help onboard with the workforce on out of Richland yet?
We are working on that, absolutely. And our essential skills piece.
Right.
So when we partnered with DMH on our health nursing expansion program, one of the foundation of that was essential skills. Okay. And we were coming out of COVID. So we wanted to make sure, basically at that point, we wanted to help build a more resilient workforce. Okay. And so part of that, and that money actually came from a gift from Decatur Memorial Hospital Foundation to Richland Community College Foundation. So we were involved in that, and we're wrapping up our fourth and final year on that grant. But really, we wanted to help them build a more resilient workforce. So it was really understanding those essential skills and those trauma-informed practices, not only for our students, but also for employers. So really making sure that there's that understanding that when they're hiring our students, to create an environment that everybody can thrive.
Right. We had Tat on a different episode, Essential Skills Facilitator, and we just talked about all of the different things that Essential Skills really helps prepare and train, and the trauma-informed, but even more than that, showing up and good work ethic and what does this look like and all those things.
Yes.
And I can really understand wanting to make sure that your partners have a matching environment or culture too.
Right.
Because one of the things that Tat and I discussed was genuinely how most people could benefit from this.
Yes.
Whether you're in the workforce yet or not, or whether you're at a community college or not, there is a level of understanding self-management, responsibility, and, all the things that comes along with those skill sets.
Well, and I think a lot of it's a generational thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, how we grew up and how we were raised and how we act in the workforce is completely different than those that are coming in. I mean, I feel like I've raised my children very well, but I'm a little biased. So,
Aren't we all?
But I was having a conversation with my daughter the other day, who's 17, almost 18. And I said, "Hey, did you ask your friend about this?" And she's like, "No, why would I do that?" I'm like, because you have conversations with people and you are interested. She's like, well, I wouldn't want to pry. And I'm like, okay, we are all different generations. So I think understanding how generations are a little bit different, but providing that understanding. So again, new generations can enter the workforce. They're respected for what they bring, but they also are trained on those essential skills, which we talked about, some of those basics and things like that. Yeah.
My husband and I talk quite frequently about the need for there to be that almost bridge generation. Because, in every generation, there's going to be things that need to evolve and change. But then there's also going to be values and things that we can appreciate and still connect with. And how do we begin to create a bridge where the things don't just get forgotten, but we're able to kind of blend the generations and help them see each other and still be able to show up for each other in those ways.
Well, and I think that makes a lot of sense when I think about fundraising, because I've been in it for so long that I've seen it evolve and grow. And so I'm an adjunct professor at North Park University, which is in Milliken's Conference, actually. So I've been teaching there for about 12 years and all online. And I'm in process of actually redesigning one of the courses right now. And what I'm seeing is, there's so many things around online giving and social media and things like that are all new. They weren't even in the picture 10, 15 years ago. But I try to remind my students and I try to remind my staff, the basis of fundraising is relationship building. That will never, ever change. That will not change from the first books that I got from the Lilly School of Philanthropy 25 years ago. That will never change. We will see that. Now, how we raise funds, that pyramid is no longer includes door-to-door solicitation. Well, unless your kids are raising money for Jump Rope for Heart, which I have told my kids before, that's your dad. I do not go door-to-door solicit. That's not even in my pyramid anymore. That has been replaced by email.
Tell them to evolve.
And text. You can evolve too. The ways people give has changed, but at the core of everything we're doing, it's building relationships. So I have a fantastic staff in the foundation. My staff is so good, but you can see some of my younger staff, they're all about the processes and the procedures and wanting to create more efficient practices, which I love. But we have to remember it all comes down to the people in the end. What we're doing comes down to the people. So I think that's one of the things that we have to always keep in mind is there's things that will never change and will always be important. But we have to be open to accepting new things too.
And, even kind of learning with each evolution of how to maintain that heart connection.
Right.
Right. Because I feel like specifically with kind of the boom of social media and technology and all the things, it's like, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard this, like we're the most connected, but the most disconnected in the same way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's important to, like you said, remember those things that truly bring that human connection and realize that that's just a tool. It doesn't replace the heart.
Right.
And how can we still bring that along and train the younger generation and have the old generation realize that the new technology ways isn't really the barrier. It's just a tool that they both need to understand and see through.
Right.
You know, I love hearing all the different things that the foundation does. And I think it's incredible how innovative I think you guys seem to be. Because you know, from the food pantry to the bus, those examples that you gave, it was kind of like, we had an idea, let's run with it and continue to evolve and see if we can continue making it better and better.
Right.
Of how it really affects our students.
I feel like just me personally, I've always been an idea person. I love doing ideas, but I also think that that can overwhelm a person.
Yeah.
Is feeling like you want to do all of these things and you just can't get them all done. So when I first started, Dr. Friggi, I don't know if you know, Dr. Friggi was my board chair, and he said, Julie, you have a lot of great ideas. But you need a plan. Yeah. So you've got to figure this out. So what we did at that point is we created an annual, I actually went to a conference. CASE is the Council for Advancement and Support of Education. Great. They have a community college specific conference. So I attended that, learned some great things, but they had a session on annual planning. So basically I came back and I said, we're going to put this plan together. So we did. We put together a plan. That plan has continued to evolve. Now for the last 4 years, we go and present that plan at CASE, this CASE conference, to all newcomers to advancement. So we can share that. But I think that what I try to do with my plan is, and we all try to do this, nothing's set in stone. It's a guide. It provides us a framework so that we can be focused. It also allows us to feel like, to basically check back in and be like, oh yeah, we're doing what we said we were going to do. So you never feel like you're not doing enough, because I think every nonprofit executive director can literally feel like they're not doing enough. And you're never going to solve all of your nonprofit's problems in 1 year. So that allows us to do that. But then it also allows us to kind of always think forward in what we're going to change for the future. So our plan has seen so many iterations, and it's allowed us to grow. And it's allowed us to say, like, this isn't, I mean, scholarships, we get to a point, so we have, our endowment has grown from 19 million to almost 29 million in the last 9 years. So it's grown substantially, but also the number of scholarships that we've awarded has grown from, I think we were awarding around 600,000, and now we're awarding 1.83 million. So that's grown. But there does come a point where you're just not going to continue to grow at the rate that you were growing. Right. So, and I think that we don't want to feel like we're not hitting our goals, even though we're absolutely successful. So it's really looking at being honest with ourselves and saying, you know, how do things need to shift? What does that look like? Where do we need to put our priorities? Have we maxed out where we need to be in scholarships, and do we need to focus on something else? Right. So that allows us to really do that too. So Dr. Friggi, yes, he basically, with that statement, it lives in a spot in my brain that will never it's so be taken up by something else. It's so
true. I mean, how many of us, you know, have the idea, but kind of getting there, getting the steps, getting the structure, but also, you know, the grace within the process. Is something that I think that you're talking about with having a plan, but realizing it's just kind of like parameters. We're aiming towards this. How do we ebb and flow with the vision in mind? Yeah. You know?
And again, we talked about the board earlier. It's being accountable to the board too. They need to know exactly what we're doing day in and day out in the office. and what our goals are, but do they need to know exactly what our tactics are? And if we, like at one point, we were going to do a women's giving circle, and our close friends at the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation started that. And they are great partners of ours. They support us endlessly. We're not going to start a women's giving circle. We are not going to compete directly with them in the work they're doing. They support us in so many ways that, so we had to adjust that tactic. And we're not going to compete with other nonprofits. We're just not going to do that. We had our gala scheduled for early November this year. It was the same night as maybe Whiskers and Tails. I might be getting that wrong. Again, a lot of crossover in donors. We're not going to host our gala on the same night. We're not going to make donors choose what event to attend. We want them to be as successful. So we moved our gala and really closely checked the community calendar this time.
Well, that's so respectful, though, of you, too, because I think it helps people feel seen, like it's not just about the money and the donations, but you really care about strong partnerships.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did, and we're planning on doing it this upcoming spring as well, is do you know Dr. Schroet? Do you know the name Dr. Schroet, Schroet Family Foundation?
The name sounds very familiar.
So he was a doctor in the area. He was very, very involved at Decatur Memorial Hospital, as well as Milliken, Crossing. He was instrumental in starting Crossing, and of course, Richland. So we have our health wing is actually named Schroet.
Okay.
And the story behind that is that his first wife started our nursing program in the trunk of her car.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Martha Schroet started the nursing program. So several years ago, Dr. Schroet had been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he was getting sick. But at the time, he was still he still had awareness. So we wanted to do something special for him, but we weren't the only ones he was supporting. And so I came together with the other executive directors of those foundations, and we planned a community donor celebration. And so we basically all invited 50 individuals that were close in our network, had it at the country club, and we celebrated Dr. Schroet and his legacy that he left on our community and all of our organizations. And it was so cool. That's because beautiful. It was, if you've ever watched the SAG Awards, like they stand up and nobody knows who's going to stand up and they say why they're an actor. Like that's what we did. We like planted people in the audience and had them just stand up and said what the Schroet family meant to them. And I think at that time, and we've had several conversations with, he has 3 children. We've had several conversations with their children about not only how much that meant to him, but how much it meant to their family. Because I mean, I think all of us have heard before that you know how much you mean to people. You never hear how much you mean to people when you're living. Yeah. And so, there's not that opportunity to tell people that. And so we wanted to give him that opportunity so that people could share. And we replicated that event for the McCoys as well, and came together, and we're getting ready to do it for another donor that's very special to Milliken and us here in the spring. So I think it's just a way for us to come together and celebrate donors and not compete. People are passionate about what they're passionate about. They're going to give to where they want to give. We are not competing with each other. Right. We are, we're all here to make this community a better place. And that's what, I feel like that's what we strive to do. And I think every other nonprofit feels that way.
I think that's incredible. What a beautiful legacy, even for his children and grandchildren, all the people to really be able to take part in and see as well.
Yeah, I get chills thinking about it.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, I would be curious. I always like to try to send people to some sort of resource or to learn more. If there is a place where people can either learn more about the foundation or what you guys are doing or how you might lead.
Yeah. So, I mean, on our beautifully redesigned website, richland.edu, there is a give button, and you can learn more about the foundation, ways to give. We have stories. Storytelling is a very strong element of the work that we do, but you can learn more about the work that we do and how you can support. everything. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming down and teaching us about the foundation and being a part of this with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love to talk about the foundation. I love to talk about the work we do, and I hope to continue doing it for many more years to come.
Thank you.
Yeah.